No, it was free.
No, but did you see the menu?
Yeah.
Holy Chipotle.
The thing that I wanted was the most expensive thing on the menu.
What was it?
It was the sea bass, and it was perfect for me. And I'm like, I can't.
Why?
Because I'm not that guy.
You need to see somebody.
I do.
When someone says this is on me, you go,
I didn't know who was on. I
didn't know.
I didn't expect them to ask me to pay, but
no.
what
I was going to do was eat and then run out of the restaurant.
Right, just to not just be there. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Was that Jeffrey Tambor running out of the restaurant?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Forgot his coat.
My father used to take the bill. Used to embarrass the crap out of all of us. And he would say, okay.
Who had? I do that.
Who had the hamburger?
Yeah. I do that. Don't I do that? I do that every meal, right, Matt? Yeah. All right.
Who had the hamburger steak?
Right.
Who had the, what are you looking for when you do that? Mistakes?
Oh, I do it as a joke.
That's a joke?
Yeah, I do it as, after the family's finished eating.
You say who had that?
And I had who I just say who had, and they all roll their eyes at me. It's just stupid, like you're going to split it up or, or something. I don't know. It's probably, I'm like an old Jewish dad.
Oh, great. We're not even in a minute into it, and we're to anti-Semitism.
Well, I'm pro-anti-Semitism.
Well, my father thought there were mistakes.
Yes, yeah, I don't do it because I don't care.
He would also do that at the supermarket, and he would also give a name at the restaurant of a different name, Oppenheimer. And they'd say, "All right, 4 for Oppenheimer," and he'd go, and I go, "Dad," and he goes, "Ha ha ha ha."
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, he was depressed. By the way, he was. He was severely depressed. He should have listened to this music. Didn't we have fun last night? We were with the.
It was really fun.
We were with Gilbert Gottfried and Company, and I fell in love with he and his wife Dara and our friend Frank Santo Padre, and we had a great time. We were at Sirius Radio, and we laid down a wonderful thing. I had an idea this morning: is why don't we take our podcast onto podcasts?
I've had that idea since day one.
Have you been talking to me about it?
Every day. You've been a little nervous about going on other podcasts.
A little nervous?
A lot nervous.
Yeah.
I had a fun moment last night, just a little existential, I moved to New York, from New York, but I moved back to New York in 2000.
I asked for a latte and I got a black coffee.
Oh, shit, that's right. You did ask for a latte.
Yeah.
You didn't. Your wife insisted that you get a latte.
Yeah, and I don't drink lattes. I don't know what she's doing.
So then everyone's good.
Yeah.
All right, good. Don't tell her.
I won't.
I don't know why she was so adamant that you should have a latte.
I don't know.
She wants you to have some...
Believe me, that's another podcast.
Some dairy. So I think we should maybe change our subject matter.
To?
Basketball. I was coming up here and listening to people talk about basketball. Apparently very popular.
Well, basketball is a wonderful sport.
It is.
I love basketball.
And it's popular.
And that was my sport.
Maybe that's the problem. If we talked about basketball.
People would listen in?
Maybe.
Maybe we should call it Acting Schmacting Basketball.
Basketball schmasketball?
I think it's the no. I think people are listening. We're getting good. We're getting good comments.
We are getting good comments.
Oh, how did they last night get those questions?
So not only did they get questions, they get paid to get questions. So that's a Patreon. So you remember the Patreon thing I've been showing you? So I'm sure people listening might know, but you can charge. You can kind of crowdfund for things, and so you can set up.
We can't afford that yet. Why don't we just give them your phone number?
We can afford it. It's will our listeners pay?
Oh,
because I can't get anybody to send in a free question. But maybe if we ask them to pay to send questions, that would be more enticing.
Well, actually, what you're saying is there's a reason for that. I mean, when you pay, you value it more.
We know that well over here at Summer Tech.
Oh, Summer Tech.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Summer Tech.
You didn't plug us at all yesterday.
I know.
Yeah, well.
Did I plug anything?
Yes, but you lost your discount for the summer.
Oh. Well, we weren't intending on enrolling, so.
Don't tell Gabe.
No, I shan't.
You're devastated.
I'm going to drop him off at Starbucks and say, see what happens here. Yeah, we're here in the wonderful, spacious studio at Summer Tech. If you saw this place, this is a place you put somebody before you waterboard them. Sorry. I mean, it is hellacious of what I'm looking at. Gildan, genuine.
Those are our T-shirts.
Oy.
Yeah.
And water bottles and Drek. It's
but
horrible.
You know what? If you were,
even the cleaners don't come in here.
If you were trapped in here, though, you'd survive for a while.
You'd do about 18 minutes.
We got water.
Water? You have good? You have water?
We don't have a toilet. We have a sink.
So?
And,
taking a shit in the sink?
You got movies. You
got
DVDs.
Great movies. Kids in the Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And
you a Kids in the Hall fan? Familiar?
No.
Big fan.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Even talking last night, I had no idea. Who did I pose those pictures with?
I think they were rappers.
I don't know. All I saw is a lot of gold teeth and silver teeth.
One guy had like diamond teeth, it looked like.
Really?
Well, I don't know that they're really diamonds, but maybe.
Hey,
they
were very, very nice, by the way.
Well, they were lovely,
very
but
sweet.
There was no but. It just, the amount of jewelry he had on his teeth was, and he was, he gave that big smile. And
yeah, they were great and warm and wonderful, and they said they were fans.
I could see you going down that road.
Being a rapper?
Yeah, getting like the cornrows.
I already have cornrows.
Do you?
Yeah. On my back. We're going to be talking to Tony Hale pretty soon.
We're going to call him in 13 minutes.
You don't like calls.
We like them.
Yeah.
But, it's nice to be.
Hey, when does West Side Story open? I want to go.
It's open.
Is it good? I love that music.
I hear it's great. Sondheim was there last night.
I'm up for him in a movie. I have a call back.
This is our segment where Jeffrey reads his emails to himself out loud.
And then my postman, this is how well regarded in my community is that my postman tells me when there's mail in my post office box. That's good.
Wait. Oh, in your post office box?
Yeah, we use a post office box.
You get notifications on there?
We've become friendly. It's a very small town. It's not even a town. It's a hamlet. God, am I boring.
So how about those Knicks?
Yeah, how about them?
I have no idea, actually.
I have no idea.
I stopped following it.
I had a signal moment. Talk to my listeners. Maybe somebody can understand what I'm about to say. I was watching... I come from San Francisco, so we never had really, we haven't had a lot of championship teams. And then we all had that hoo-ha on that wonderful athlete who wouldn't kneel, and I feel so sorry.
No, he would kneel.
He would kneel. I feel so sorry for that guy.
I don't.
I don't know.
I think it's great what he did. I'm on his side.
But you say actions have consequences?
Oh, no. I think, you
don't feel sorry for him?
Feel sorry? I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he took that on, and good for him. And so he'll pay the price of not having an NFL
That's just
contract
what I said.
for a while. Yeah, but
do you think it's I don't know. Anyhow,
disrespectful?
I was watching the game with my kids. They came over to my office, and we made popcorn.
And I assume you're rooting for the 49ers.
I was rooting for the 49ers. I was all excited all day, and I started watching it, and I went, I don't care.
Yeah.
And it was really a woke moment where I went, I am past this.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's an age. I don't know what it is.
I think it's an age thing. I think it's also I think it's when you start to line up what's important and everything. I'm going, I see everyone painted and what was your idea of the halftime? Did you like the halftime?
It was entertaining. I liked it. I mean,
I like the stuff of the kids being in the cages and the political statement and all that and how their songs. But
wait, there are kids in cages? I totally missed
Didn't you get that? Those kids that were in those little surroundings around, those were cages.
I don't ever think about it.
What do you think they were? Bird cages?
I don't know. I was kind of watching
Drunk?
Shakira. No, I was not drunk. I don't drink.
You don't drink?
No.
Oh.
I won't drink this year.
Okay, all right.
That's my resolution.
You will after this podcast.
Well, I do. I have a hot chocolate. No, I don't drink. I never was a drinker.
Neither was I.
Right. Except.
Oh, do you know that last night was the first night I ever announced that I was... Have I announced that I was sober on our podcast?
Yes.
Oh, well, then forget what I was saying.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so Tony Hale. I do remember tapping Mitch Hurwitz, who wants to do our show, by the way. Mitch Hurwitz, and just saying, who is that? Because I was so enamored of what he was doing in his process and continue to be. By the way, arguably, one of the nicest people in the world, and truly one of the most spiritual people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the real deal. I mean, he's the real deal. And, if you want to root for the good guy, he's the good guy. I'm looking at the trash underneath that there. What's that?
That is cardboard box cutouts painted into video game and other.
Can you tell me who designed the lights for this?
The lights in here?
Yeah. Was it anybody like last name Eichmann?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Holy shit. It's so depressing. You have to take a Xanax before you walk in here.
If we just don't move for about 10 minutes, they'll go off. But I can't.
I had that happen the other day during Codedum.
Yeah.
And I was in here waving, and nothing was happening. I was so embarrassed. And Matt, you were in Boston, and you were back in the home.
Why aren't I writing scripts for you to read to promote Codedum and Summertech?
Why aren't you?
I don't know. We should be doing this.
Go to Codedum and go to Codetech. Codetech?
Codetech?
Codetech.
Don't go to Codetech.
What's the name of your enterprise?
All right, so you see the giant banner behind Matt's head?
Summertech. My son goes to Summertech. He has a free scholarship.
No, he doesn't.
Why doesn't he? Can't afford it.
You forgot to plug us on a major podcast last night. You're actually getting your prices going up. But that's fair. We had a lovely evening.
Are we calling him or is he calling us?
No, we're calling him in 8 minutes. And we have 45 minutes. He has 45-minute.
And then what happens? He goes back to bed because it's 9:45?
No, he's going on to something else. He's got things to do.
What's he got to do?
I don't know. I don't ask these questions.
He's very busy.
Yeah.
He's doing a play.
He's doing a play.
Yeah.
I love his time with Liza Minnelli on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Some funny stuff. Can we get Liza?
We could get Liza.
Yeah, could we?
Yeah, that'd be great.
She can't be in New York still, right? She's got to be. I bet she has a New York apartment.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I love Liza. I love her her turn on that show.
She's great.
Yeah. I'm going to eat. I'm going to forgive me, audience, but I haven't had breakfast. Should
I take it from here?
Yeah, take it in.
No, last night was lovely. I can tell everybody. We went into. What's my favorite part of last night? So when I walked into to Sirius XM to get my credentials, there was Gilbert and Dara, his wife, right there. But I didn't say anything to them. There were a couple people ahead of me, and they were doing their thing. And then when I got upstairs, I see them in the lobby. What's the matter? What do you need? Napkin?
Mm-hmm.
Matt, could you grab Jeffrey a napkin? Matt's job is not to do anything like that, but he's just being a nice person. Anyway, so so in the lobby, it's really active. There's a lot of people, and there is a showcase booth that's all in glass. So you can see who's in there, and people are taking pictures. And apparently, it was Deadmau5, who's like a big DJ, electronic music guy, very big. So people were very excited to see him. But there's like a TV monitor, and it says Sirius XM welcomes, and then names would scroll by, right? And I was so tickled that I'm talking to Dara, and she's like, I just want to make sure I get a picture when it says Gilbert up there. I'm like, really? After all these years and all this success, that's what you're excited about? I just thought that was the most down-to-earth, lovely, charming little thing. It was like when your mom, oh, no, his name's going to come. It was just really cute.
Did my name ever come up?
Your name did come up, and your wife took a picture of it and posted it. It's on her Facebook post. And she's also selling a house in Armonk. So if you're interested, Kat Tambor. And then
Douglas Elliman.
And then we went out to dinner, which was lovely.
Lovely, Oceana.
At Oceana, who were very good to us.
Oh.
And we ate well.
How were they good to us?
The food was good, and they served us well.
What are they going to do? Give us shitty food?
I thought the maitre d' looked like John Mulaney.
Who's John Mulaney?
Who's John Mulaney?
Who's John Mulaney? Oh. I thought you said Mulaney.
No. So, people.
I did a commercial with John Mulaney?
This is what you tell me. Yeah, for what?
I don't know.
How long ago?
And I saw him on Broadway. It was terrific. Wish I had a lot.
In Hello.
Hello.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I saw it too.
It was funny, right?
Yeah. Who was your guest?
A young woman named Kat Tambor.
No. On stage.
I didn't do that.
No, but who was the guest that day? They bring out a celebrity.
Oh, I will tell you. It was Edie Falco.
Oh, you got a good one.
Hey, there's somebody we should get on the show. Edie Falco.
Alum of this school.
Alum of this school, and truly, Miss Falco, if you're listening.
I'm sure she is.
I'm one of your biggest fans.
Yeah, me too.
I think she is an amazing actress.
Yeah.
And an amazing person. Anybody listening, tell Miss Falco I said hi and come on over.
Yeah.
She's an alumni of where we are.
We are at
I wonder if
Purchase College, SUNY.
Yeah. Just look for any janitor's closet and
you'll find us. Yeah, let us out. And Stanley Tucci went here?
We should have Stanley Tucci on.
Or both of them. I saw them both together in Frankie and Johnny.
Oh, how was that?
It's great.
Yeah, directed by...
Don't remember.
Joe Mantello.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the great directors. He directed me in Glengarry Glen Ross.
Mm. Yeah, it was good.
I heard, this may be a rumor, I heard there might be an all-female cast.
I think I heard that too.
Of Glengarry?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Why not?
Or is that Company I'm thinking of? Or is it both?
I didn't hear that for Company. Company's coming back with Patti LuPone.
Company!
Yeah. Can we get Patti LuPone? Because that would be the biggest.
I don't know Miss LuPone, although I'm a huge... You're a huge
what?
Fan. We should call him.
I got 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I'm on it.
I'm going to surprise
See, Frank doesn't have all these other extra things to do.
Like,
turn the dials, call the guests.
I'm going to get my notes for...
All right, get your notes. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's call Tony. It's 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock in San Francisco. I wonder where he's staying.
Hello?
Hello. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine. Welcome to Acting Schmacking. We're going to play you some intro. I've been talking about you for about the last half hour, but I'm going to play some intro music, and I want you to tell me honestly, what you always do. Here, this is the intro music, which can also be played in old folks' homes and bar mitzvahs, just before the bar mitzvah. Good morning. What time is it there? 9?
It's 9, and I'm in San Francisco, and I'm right next to a trolley stop. My apartment is, so I apologize if they're like.
Why did you get an apartment next to a trolley? Were you on Hyde?
No, I'm on Stockton in California.
I know Stockton. I used to deliver rugs in California. Do you know that I'm from San Francisco?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I lived in I didn't live in the city, but I used to deliver rugs, so I know exactly where you are. Are you performing at? Well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Hale, who is arguably one of the finest actors in our country, and also from personal experience, one of the finest people in our country. And my first, you know him from everything, from Mr. Roboto to didn't know I was going to say that, right? From Mr. Roboto to Arrested Development and his wonderful turn in Veep. And now, and I want to talk about this because our listeners who are young artists at home are, people sitting in their little scaredy chairs afraid to move. But here's this fantastic actor who has credits of the wazoo, and he decides to leave his wonderful wife, Martell, for a bit. Or is Martell with you?
She comes up and visits. It's not that bad of a commute from LA.
Right. And he's now doing theater. Explain, please.
Well, first of all, it's so good to talk to you, Jeffrey.
Me too. I miss you so much.
I miss you very, very much. It's a play called Wakey Wakey by Will Eno.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it at the Geary Theater.
I know the Geary Theater very well. Is that ACT?
It's ACT.
Yeah.
And it's a very intimate play. It's a man kind of at the end of his life, and
perfect.
It's kind of a one man show, and then towards the end, there's a nurse played by Catherine McGinn that comes in.
Yes.
And so it's been quite a both terrifying and exhilarating journey.
Now, because this is so interesting, what motive? I mean, your need to do the play is, for me, it's like me, I need to pull my hair. What motivated you to do a play?
We've talked about this a lot, but when I did that book, Archibald's Next Big Thing, years ago.
I know.
And it came from a place where I was, always looking to my next thing, and I learned that I just wasn't very present in my life. And it was just a big lesson. And it also came from Arrested Development because I was on a great show, but I was still looking to my next thing. And
as we all did.
I was kind of in this season where I was just practicing contentment. And then this play comes along called Wakey Wakey that is, really kind of engages the audience to practice gratitude and practice being present and, practice living in the now. And I was just like, and it was like a 3-week run. And I was like, you know what? I haven't done theater in 17 years. I'm absolutely terrified, but I can't let fear stop me. And I was like, what the hell? Let's try it.
Yeah.
And here I am.
No, I understand. How do you like doing 8 shows a week? I have a whole new admiration for those that do it. Right.
Because it is, especially when this piece is pretty intense, very emotional, and kind of putting that out there 8 times a week. It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, and because I remember when you did. I came to see you. All good. What's the office drama you did?
Glengarry?
Yeah, Glengarry. And that intimacy that you have with the audience.
Nothing like it.
I just missed it. There's nothing like it, and you can feel the instant feedback, and so it's fun just to do a story beginning to end. I mean, I haven't done that in so long. So
and when the lights reveal you, do you get applause?
No.
You don't get applause?
Shocked. I mean, at the end, I get applause.
But you don't. When the lights come on and there's Tony Hale, they don't go, "Yay!" Well,
the show starts out, and I'm face down on the floor in my tidy whities. So I think they're a little more. I think they're a little more like, well, this is not what I imagined. So
that could or could not be Tony Hale. Well, one of the things that I really admire, and I was reading, was one of the things that that you're about is the risk it took for you to. Was everyone behind your decision? I mean, I'm sure at home. And please give my love to Martell.
I will.
And Kasia says hello and sends her love and our congratulations. But I mean, was all your reps behind what you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, they were. It's as you know, it's tricky to carve out time to do something like this. But I don't know. It's just that kind of thing. It's not a long run, so that did help.
How long is it?
We started rehearsals the day after Christmas, and then the show ends February 16th.
Oh, that's a short run.
It's a short run, and I just kind of, when you got that thing in your gut where you're like, I just want to make this happen. You just kind of try your best to carve it out.
And was it hard to learn? Because I hear you don't stop.
I don't stop, man. And dude, the amount of anxiety that was involved in this process.
Tell me, I'm all about anxiety.
Yeah. And so, I mean, please, I'm like the poster child for it. But the whole thing that was like, kept me going is I remember years ago, I was actually listening to this preacher once, and they were talking about fear and anxiety. And they said, you never are really going to ever get in a place of complete confidence or peace when you're taking a risk sometimes. I mean, sometimes you are, but many times you're not. And they said one phrase, they said, you just have to do it afraid. And I found myself this whole rehearsal process as I felt the anxiety kind of brewing up. I was like, you know what? Just keep walking. Just like whatever you're feeling, just keep walking.
My producer just pointed at me because I just quoted that. Because, I'm doing this podcast, and then yesterday I was on the Gilbert Gottfried show, and I was very, very nervous about going on.
Sure.
And my friend said, what's wrong? And I said, I'm afraid. And he said, okay, do it afraid. Which I think
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yesterday. See? So there are no coincidences. I don't believe they're coincidences. I think.
No.
Can I ask you something? Because I know I have to let you go in 45 minutes, but there's what do you have to do?
Now I'm speaking at this thing, so I apologize. But they were picking me up at 10:15. That's why I have to run.
What thing are you speaking at?
It's at this. It's actually at Google, and they're just kind of. They bring in, it's really neat. Since they're in San Francisco, they always bring in artists to kind of talk about what they're doing. So I'll be talking about the show.
Okay, I'm just going to say it to you. You are one of the most spiritual people I know. And I don't mean like, crosses around the neck or genuflecting or anything. You're just a spiritual person who's always after that. And I remember my first rehearsal at the Public Theater, and there was this actor named David Warlow, and he made us all hold hands and sort of like, well, I guess pray in a little while or meditate on about what we were doing and sending love and light to one another and for enlightenment and thing. And I remember just, I think my eyes still hurt from rolling, and yet you practice that, and you've taught me that. And when these allegations went down, I've never told anybody this, but Tony grabbed me out of the makeup trailer, and I don't know. Do you remember this, Tony?
I do remember this. Yeah.
And he grabbed me he just grabbed me out of my seat because I was in shock, and you took me outside, and I believe you put your hands on my shoulder and you did a little incantation, and it was I shan't forget that for the rest of my life. And you're one of the most spiritual. How important is spirit to acting and creation? Wouldn't it be funny if you hung
great
up?
Question. I just think now's the time. I just need to get off the phone. How important is it? I mean, for me, it's everything.
It is everything.
I think it's. I think God is the ultimate creator, and I think many times, people can look at kind of spirituality and think. Like even if somebody says just like religious art and they think about a cross or they think about something like that, but in actuality, I think a tree is religious art. Yeah. It's God's creation. It's the most.
I'm just thinking of the number of people who are now turning off our podcast, but go ahead.
But you just think of like what's under. This sounds really, but you look what's under the ocean.
Yeah.
Like the amount of beauty and just crazy creativity that's out there that was created.
Right.
And that is spiritual. So I think it's
also
so
about
enormous.
And also something you taught me about, you have to be present. And how important, and we actors, especially living in Hollywood, what did you do and what's the next?
Yeah, that's it's been a really hard and great journey for me. I've mentioned this before, but it's like when I booked all those years ago Arrested Development, I was so overwhelmed by, you guys and the show, because you guys were so good, and I was like, what the hell? And I was so overwhelmed, but I remember getting it, and that was my dream, and it didn't satisfy me the way I thought it was going to satisfy me.
I know.
And it really scared me.
I know.
And I think it's because I gave that thing too much weight, and I had not been present for most of my life.
Did you have that after you won your 2 Emmys?
Oh yeah. Well, that fixed it, Jeffrey. No, it was. Well, thankfully, that was post a lot of like therapy, just trying to get disciplined about more being in the moment. Have you heard of cognitive behavioral therapy?
No, but we're writing it down now. How is it? What is it?
I kind of this thing called cognitive behavioral therapy where
cognitive CBT, yeah.
CBT, yeah. And it was, because dealing with anxiety and kind of never really fully present because I was detached in my fears or wherever, and just trying to kind of learn how to be more in the moment. Right. And little tricks like, practice the 5 senses. What do you smell? What do you see? What are you touching? And and little things like saying you have to wake yourself up 100 times a day to where you are.
I literally am looking at that sentence in my notes. You have to wake yourself up 100 times a day to be present. By the way, my assistant just handed me a note. I have a CBT appointment at 1:00.
You do, or he does?
No, I do. I do.
Oh, you do. You do.
But I never thought you were a worrier. Because you always look so serene. And then I read that you were subject as a younger person to panic attacks.
Oh yeah, I used to. Well, I remember, and that was a huge part of getting back into theater, or not doing theater before, because I was very, very anxious. When I was in high school, I was doing a musical, Little Abner.
Who did you play?
Mary and Sam.
Oh, yeah.
And in the middle of my song Jubilation Tea Corn Pone.
Oh, yeah.
I had what I thought was an asthma attack, but it was a panic attack. And ever since then, you know how when something like that happens, it kind of becomes this marker of fear. And I just always then attached a lot of anxiety to stage. And so I just never really did theater after that. And I did a play back in New York years ago, but like this kind of experience was like trying to walk through that.
Yeah, it's great. And are you still, and I don't mean to be a therapist, but are you still
No, I love it.
Do you still?
I don't really have, thankfully, by the grace of God, panic attacks aren't something I struggle with now.
Mm-hmm.
More of kind of, I will say this though, I can feel sometimes them coming on.
Yeah, me too.
Like I'll never forget when I was about to do years ago. I was about to do Conan, and right before, you know how the curtains open and you walk out. Right before I was about to walk out, I felt one coming on, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I either bolt or I got to do something. And I remember there was 2 guys holding about to open the curtain, and I just started asking them questions. I was like, "Where are you from? Like, how long have you been doing this?" Just to get my mind off of it.
Yeah.
And then the curtains open and I walk through. So you kind of learn these little things that when you kind of feel that wave, it's like, okay, I'm just going to sit in this and let that feeling come and go and keep walking, you know?
So, and you say 100 times a day, do you?
I count them. Sometimes, no. Yeah. It's just, I'm constantly just like, Tony, wake up. You're talking to Jeffrey right now. Tony, wake up. You're walking to work. That's where, because here's the thing. This is my thing. It's very easy for me to, like, when somebody says, hey, where do you want to be in whatever, 5 years or whatever that crazy question is? That's very easy for me to do because I'm always checked out somewhere else. it's much more challenging for me to be right here.
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing.
Forgive me. I think that's all of us.
Yeah.
What? Can I ask you a question? This is about because we had. I don't know if you know it. We had Armando Iannucci on.
Isn't he the best?
He's the best. Can you tell our listeners a little bit?
You were so good in that movie, by the way.
I was?
So good.
Would you like to represent me? Sorry. We could do the hands-on before the audition outside. And then you could walk in my hand and we could all have it anyhow. Can you tell me a little bit about the rehearsal process? Because I'd never undergone a rehearsal process like we did for Stalin. Your rehearsal process, because it's unheard of.
I'm actually really curious about your experience with that, because when I started Veep, what happened with us is I had no idea what I was getting into, probably much like what your experience was with Stalin. But they brought us out to London to rehearse the pilot of Veep. And then we had a script, but then they kind of put the scripts to the side and then just had kind of a time where you just kind of played with the material and to see if stuff was gelling or if new stuff came up. And all these guys would just kind of stand around, all the writers with their little notepads, and if something came up, they'd write it down. And in my head, I was thinking, are we writing the script?
Yeah, I had the same.
What's going on?
I had the same experience. First of all, I was a little late because I was coming from Hold Your Laughter to the End, from Monaco, where I was doing a thing with the Prince of. Is it the Prince of Monaco?
Maybe.
And that's Steve Fink. He's our producer. Anyhow, I had just come from doing some press thing, and I was a little late. So we got there, and we were rehearsing with, Buscemi and all those wonderful British actors, Jason Isaacs, and on and on and on. And I remember that we were walking around with our script. It had been blocked a little bit because, again, I was about a week late. But what I remember is that wonderful guy, you probably know his name, who would follow
Tony
me.
Roach?
Huh?
Tony Roach?
I don't know if you said the name.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony Roach.
Wait, it was Simon Blackwell. Was it Simon Blackwell? Sorry. Keep going.
Anyhow, somebody was following me around. Actually, there was a couple of people following us all around. And they had typewriters. That doesn't age me. They had computers
just around their neck.
In their hand. And what I was amazed at is that on the next draft, anything that I kind of threw in or did or action or sort of ad-libbed, it was in the script.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, my goodness. We have here a way of working that I have never encountered before.
Yeah. And they obviously, these writers are incredibly talented. They spent so much time on these scripts, but they kind of wanted to, I learned down the road that it wasn't so much for them to find new material. They just wanted to see if it was working, because they so have that radar of something that's genuine to the performers.
Yeah, but you and I have both worked with actors who have said, no, he didn't say the. He didn't say from.
Exactly.
And these were the opposite. Alone. There was not a piece of ego in that room.
Not a piece at all. And this is another thing I loved about them, too. Anytime someone would say, there was like a joke or something like that, and anytime people like, who wrote that? All the writers would look at each other and be like, I don't know who wrote that.
Isn't that
how
beautiful,
different is that?
Yeah.
How different than that is other shows where it's like, oh, I wrote that. It's like they just never, it was all a collective thing.
So what do you tell to that actor who's sitting on his scaredy couch, who's listening to the great Tony, and he's afraid, and he has his script in the desk drawer that's been there moldering for 7 weeks, or he's afraid, and he's waiting for his agent to do the 6 o'clock calls where 8 lines may be offered to him on a pilot that is less than mediocre. What do you say to that person?
I love that question, because I think I get kind of meta, But
what does meta mean?
I probably get a little too larger spiritual.
Oh, it's good. I like meta.
I always say, well, I could say a couple things. Going into whatever experience we have as actors, just as a good reminder that people need to remember is that their value does not change before and after they book a job.
But you know what? And I love you like my brother, but I don't know if you can say that to an 18 or 19-year. You couldn't have said that to me.
Yes, and you're right. And here's the thing: even if they don't receive it, I do think there's something. I think hearing that truth, and being like, "Hey, because I kind of wish somebody told me that, even if I didn't receive it, to say, hey, right now, you're gonna be the most known, you're gonna have the most value you're ever gonna have." Whatever happens in your life. Now you changed.
You come on the set, and I remember how you dressed, awful, and how you were.
Probably did.
And now I see you in shiny shoes and funny socks and lovely couture and everything like that.
Oh yes, of course.
How important is that to you?
How important is like dressing nice?
No. The change. You have more things. You have more things than you had before.
Oh, more things. How important? I mean, I don't. It's.
I can withdraw the question at any point.
No, don't worry. You don't have to withdraw the question. I mean, how important? I don't know if important is the right word.
Vital.
It's definitely not vital. I would say I'm thankful.
Do you equate your worth with those things?
No.
Good.
Absolutely
How
not.
did you learn that?
I would say a daily discipline of remembering that this life is incredibly fleeting. There's a line in this play where I say 100,000 people died today, and 100,000 people died yesterday, and 100,000 the day before that. And I have to daily watch that I give value to the right thing.
It's beautiful.
I would say that, yeah.
This is an interesting segue, but it fits beautiful. How is playing Mr. Roboto?
It changed my life.
How so?
No, I'm kidding.
First of all, tell us all who Mr. Roboto was.
So I did. This was before, and actually, it connects to our experience together. Before I did Arrested Development. I did a commercial for Volkswagen where I was in a car singing Mr. Roboto, and then years later, Mitch Hurwitz, who created Arrested Development, had Buster in a car doing Mr. Roboto.
Oh my God!
On Arrested Development.
Did he know, or was this just a coincidence?
Yeah, he did know.
Is there any mind more encyclopedic than that mind?
It really is wild.
Yeah.
It actually, and I mean, those last season, I had no idea what was going on in the show. I had no idea. And I actually still don't really understand a lot of what happened in the show. But we all just trusted Mitch that I'll never forget towards the end, there was different hands being put on my arm that I had no idea why. And I remember the props person being like, you know what, just go with it. I don't know.
You remember? I remember being chained to you, running down a hospital corridor, and not knowing what the fuck was going. Why am I chained to him? And why is he falling down the door? And where have I come from? And where did this hat come from? I didn't have a hat in the other scene. Oh, God. Was I nice to you? Hey, was I nice to you? Of course.
Oh, you really were. Always. And I always, to this day, I have so much admiration for you. I'll never forget. You were always just so incredibly kind to me. And I was very, very intimidated by you coming into the show. I was intimidated by everybody, but I think I came up to you so many times and I said, Jeffrey, you have such a great speaking voice.
You don't know this story, but you were doing a scene, and I think it was in your bedroom, or it might have been the boys' bedroom. It was the first season, and I remember Mitch and I were watching you, and Mitch and I are old friends, and I went, who the F is that? Because I have never seen acting like that in my life.
Oh.
And it was so, I'm not saying it was good, by the way. No.
It comes from so much pain.
No. I said, whatever he's doing is some of the most interesting character work I have ever seen.
Oh,
and you are and have been a miracle and a beacon, and it's. I like when the good guys win, and you're a winner, and the information that you've given the young students and the old students. I'm teaching now. I don't know if you know that. I'm teaching over at the Ridgefield Playhouse this scene study class, which I love, and I always talk about. I have to tell you when I did that David Warlow experience at the Public Theater and we all had to join hands, I just thought it was horseshit. And now I think you don't walk on that set spiritually and aware and present, you got nothing to offer. And that's what the big boys know, and you know that. And so, my friend, you taught me, and are teaching so many others. I mean,
Thanks, man.
You're absolutely great. How long does your show run?
Till February 16th. I love that you're teaching, Jeffrey, because you have so much to offer the students.
Thanks.
I think that's
and
wonderful.
I'm doing this podcast, and I'm going to ask you to post it after we.
Yeah.
Is that all right that I openly ask you? I have one more question to ask you.
Yeah.
What did you put on tape to get Arrested Development?
I did. I remember because I was doing commercials in New York, and I was kind of seen as just a commercial guy.
Me too.
So it took me 7 or 8 years to find an agent that would send me out for TV and film.
I had somewhat. I didn't have 8 years, but I had somewhat the same experience.
Yeah, and it was, and so I was doing commercials, and the audition came around, and I was so excited about the script, but I was like, wow, this is such a long shot. But in the audition, it said that Buster gave people massages. And so I'll never forget, I started massaging my knees, but then the camera stopped at my waist. And so so Mitch would watch the tape and he'd be like, what is he doing down there? And I think that's probably the only thing that might have piqued that interest. He's like, what is he doing? So then they flew me out to LA.
My first was I did that. You remember that commercial? Hey, my socks don't cling.
No.
Oh well, you're young. There used to be a thing. Was it Tide?
Bounce, maybe?
Or Bounce. It was Bounce. Yeah. And you would take your socks and you had to separate them, and you would say, hey, my socks don't cling. And they brought me on at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't get in front of the camera until 7 o'clock that night. And I was a raving maniac. And I couldn't say the line. I went, hey, my socks, they don't cling. Or, hey, if you had socks like mine, they just wouldn't cling. And they looked at me and they said, there's something terribly wrong with this guy. But I was literally out of my mind. And it is still, I think I have PTSD from that. Hey, your socks? I bet they're not like mine because mine don't cling. And the guy went, can you fucking say the line? So,
hey, wait, I have a question for you.
Please.
What kind of, with your students, what kind of advice, the journey that you've had all these many years, if you could narrow it down to 2 pieces of advice, what do you tell them?
Play and make mistakes.
You said play?
Play. Like as your kids, or as your daughter says.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bring back the wow. And make mistakes. We're all trying to please everybody except ourselves.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Good.
Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me?
Of course.
And it drives me mad.
Yeah.
Do you like me? Do you like me? I happen to read your reviews, and you got lovely reviews, but there's always that schmuck in the in the Millbrae Examiner who just says, and and that's the one I read, and I post on my head.
That's the one that sticks.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this. Martel has the code to my iPad, and to where I took my browser off of my iPad, so I don't have a browser, because I don't want to be tempted to look at any reviews. So I know,
but people will tell you them. No,
yeah.
Don't worry, you got rave reviews. You got rave reviews.
Well, no, the nice ones they'll definitely tell me about. But like, I really, because my brokenness will dig, and then you're right, we'll find that negative one, and that's the one that's the one you walk around.
You get printed and you paste it on your forehead. Jeffrey, somebody in the Alaskan paper, it has a subscription of 4 people go, the theater could have been warmer, and you go, aha! I got a review for my Caliban in Tempest. My Caliban had beads all over the costume, and the guy from the Detroit News said, Jeffrey Tambor's Caliban is a beaded bag gone wrong. And I'm still not okay.
Yeah. I also love that you say play, because I mean obviously that's what any actor needs to hear. But I remember when I was years in New York, I studied with this school that I just wasn't crazy about, and it was a really fear-based. He just had this arrogance, and everybody was kind of walking on eggshells and wanting to please him, and it was a real bummer. And it was Meisner, where you need that honesty and safety.
Yeah.
And then I went to, and it was just a really fear-based environment, but then I went to the Barrow Group years later, and it was amazing. Like, here I was in my mid-20s, and that's when I was introduced to the whole play thing, where someone's like, hey, this is playtime, and let's let go of that kind of work mentality. And it just really just changed me so much.
Can I ask you one more thing, and I'm going to let you go to Google. There was this group that you belonged to of like-minded people and people of faith. Can you talk about that? Because I was so impressed with that.
Oh yeah. Well, so this is right when I moved to New York in '95, and I had met a lot of artists, dancers, visual artists, actors, whose faith was important to them, but they had not really found kind of like-minded people, but also a lot of times their church back home didn't necessarily support their work because it might not have been, quote, faith-centered.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really frustrating, which I fully understand. And so we really just kind of formed this group called The Haven, and we would just kind of go see each other's work, and we would encourage each other. We would do a lot of service work just to kind of get our eyes off ourselves, and it was a real strong community for me. And I always tell people before they get into their career, I always say, you know what? You have to invest in your community before you invest in your career, because it's your community that's going to give you longevity.
You have just said the magic sentences that our kids need to know, because you don't have that, you don't have it. And if the people are around you aren't supporting like you were to me, you're a dead duck. And you have that. And I love that. Faith-based or not, you must have people around you who give you attaboy constantly.
Absolutely. And people who see you beyond how the business sees you. You know, I mean,
oh my God, yes,
you hear the trolley, but
yes.
it's like I'm constantly. I mean, I remember walking into rooms in New York, and they still have this word like people act exactly like me. We're all the same type, and it's like
I had the same experience.
Where am I unique?
I had the same experience. I looked down the row, and there was every bald actor in New York was sitting there, and I went, "Well, now what's going on?"
And then, having people around you that go, "Hey, I see you for who you are. You're more than this," and keep going. I mean, that's everything. It was everything to me. Yeah.
And do you still have that faith-based deal?
I do, and I have and even beyond that, like it's I have a lot of my church, a lot of friends who faith is important, but a lot of other friends who faith is not important, but we just kind of encourage each other.
Can I be the first? Can I be the first Jewish member to join?
Of course,
especially
you're already.
I can sit in a chair way outside the circle. By the way.
Oh, quiet! That's awful. No,
I love you. I
love
first
you too,
of all,
dude.
First of all, I forgot how much I've always respected you. You're your own man. You made a great character out of both. Oh, one more thing, and then we are going to go. Do you remember that I called you after you did your great opus with those little chipmunks? What is it called?
Oh, Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Do you remember I called you? Just say yes.
I think so. Yes.
I think I either emailed you or called you, because what I remember was I was watching with my 4 kids, and they were and I remember I said, he's putting as much effort and detail and love and verve into this role as he did if he were playing Hamlet. And there was no wink to it. There was full commitment, and I remember just saying, and then I called you because I went, that's a true actor. You hit to all fields, and you don't let up on your commitment and your drive. And anybody who's listening today is going to be inspired. You are the perfect guest for Acting Schmacting, and I would love for you to come back anytime and talk about anything.
I would love it.
And I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, brother.
And go give him hell.
I miss you a lot.
I miss you too. Give him hell at Google. What time do you take your nap before the show?
I know. Don't you love a disco nap?
I love
a disco nap.
What time?
Can I tell a quick funny story about Alvin and the Chipmunks about my wife?
Yes.
Who you love, Martel. We were playing. We were playing that game Celebrity. I don't know if you've played it, where you like pick names out of a hat. It's kind of like charades, and then you try to describe it to the group, and then they answer back. And I got the clue for Alvin and the Chipmunks, and my wife Martel was on my team, and I said, "Oh my gosh, we have this." And she's like, "Okay." And I said, "I was in this movie. I'm chasing rodents around," and Martel screams out, "Ratatouille!" And I was like, "Okay." I said, "First of all, I wasn't in that movie." and then I said, "It was Alvin and the Chipmunks," and she goes, "Well, I mean, you can't expect me to see every one of your movies."
That's
and I was like, "All right, we're done."
That's only a wife can say that. I went to the school the other day, and I was walking in, and they went, "Oh, I just have to do it. I'm not supposed to do it. I'm not supposed to say hello to celebrities, but I just have to do it." And I said, "It's fine, it's fine." They said, "I so enjoy your work, Mr. Gould. You are so wonderful." And she thought I was Elliot Gould.
Oh, of course. I also had an experience once where I was at a grocery store, and they said, "Can I have your autograph?" And I said, "Oh, that's funny. People usually just ask for a picture," and they said, "No, for your credit card."
See, isn't that great?
Like, oh yeah,
isn't that great?
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I so enjoy your work, Mr. What's the other one? Phil.
Dr. Phil.
Oh, I get Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, you have changed my life, and thank you so much. I said, "I am not Dr. Phil," and they went, I know, you're very modest, but what you've done to my family, You've cured us all. And I said, I am not Dr. Phil. You're so modest. What a humanitarian. And anyway, go to Google. We love you.
I love you too, man.
You have
so
actually
much.
said exactly what our listeners need to hear. I can't tell you how I love you enough and how I admire you. I'm so I'm just so enamored of you personally and professionally, and
thanks,
so proud for you.
I love you very much, Jeffrey.
I love you too, my friend. Have a great, great, great day, and kill him tonight.
Okay, I will. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, sweetie. Good night.
Okay, bye.